Hello everybody, this is Monster of Tech here, back at you with another video. This video is going to be about the Meltdown security vulnerability. So basically the Meltdown security bug is a bug affecting Intel processors and some ARM-based processors. It effectively allows a rogue process to read any physical kernel or other process's map memory, regardless of whether or not it should be allowed to do so. Meltdown affects a wide range of systems. At the time of the video, it affects all iPhones and Mac machines, in addition to machines affected with hardware running any version of Microsoft Windows or any but very recent versions of Linux. Many servers and cloud services were impacted, as well as a potential majority of smart devices and embedded devices using ARM-based processors, which include mobile devices, smart TVs, and others, including a wide range of networking equipment. A purely software workaround of Meltdown has been considered, but will degrade your computer's performance from 5 to 30% in certain workloads. Companies responsible for software correction of the exploit are reporting minimal impact from benchmark testing. So basically, Meltdown exploits rare conditions inherent in the design of many central processor units between memory access and privilege checking during the instruction process, combined with the CPU cache channel attack, to allow a process to bypass the usual privilege that checks that isolate the exploit process from accessing data belonging to the operating system and other running processes. It basically melts down the borders between everything. So, hence the name Meltdown. So, moving on to the history, it was discovered independently with Google's Project Zero. It was planned to be released on January 9th, but news agencies reported it, so they released it early on January 3rd. So, along with Meltdown, they discovered another vulnerability called Spectre, which is another bug that's pretty bad. Basically, this bug affects Intel processors, some ARM processors, but it's not thought to infect AMD processors. It's thought that if your processor gets affected, you will need a complete replacement of the processor. So that will be pretty pricey unless the companies step up to giving you free ones if you're infected. So basically, no getting away from Intel, because their processors, their problem started with the P6 family microarchitecture with the Pentium Pro IA32 microprocessor in 1995. So every processor from 1995 to now is basically affected by this new bug. ARM has reported that the majority of their processors are not vulnerable and published a list of specific processors that are affected. However, the ARM Cortex A75 core is affected directly by the Meltdown vulnerability. In cores Cortex A15, Cortex A57, and Cortex A72 are affected by variations of the Meltdown vulnerability. This contradicts some early statements made about the Meltdown vulnerability being Intel only. However, some Snapdragons are resistant to both of them, to both the Meltdown and the Spectre. So these include the Snapdragon 630, Snapdragon 626, Snapdragon 625, and all Snapdragon 4XX processors based on A53 or A55 cores. So, the mechanism for this, the flaw comes in the CPU race condition that can arise between instruction execution and privilege checking to read unauthorized memory mapped data in a detectable manner before the privilege check can occur to prevent the data being read. The following provides an overview of the exploit and the memory mapping of which is target. The attack is described in terms of what Intel processor running Microsoft Windows or Linux. The main test targets used in the original paper, but it also affects some other processors in operating systems. So how companies will fix this? So basically, this will be addressed by using a process called kernel page table isolation, or KPTI for short. It's basically it's a kernel feature that mitigates the Meltdown security vulnerability. It improves kernel hardening against attempts to bypass kernel address space layout randomization. It works better by isolating user space and kernel space memory. KPTI was merged to Linux version 4.15 to be released in early 2018 and then backported to Linux kernel 4.14.11. Windows and macOS release similar updates. KPTI does not affect the related Spectre vulnerability. So this KPTI only fixes the Meltdown bug, not the Spectre bug. So this has been a Monster of Tech video. Please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. There will be a Spectre video out tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next one.